everybody, this is Gail, and I've got a brand new video for week 4. So this assignment this week, pretty straightforward, no tables or anything like that. This is part C, your proposed solution. So I've got it pulled up here so you can see on screen, and I do believe I have a student example of this one and a template. My template may be a little older, so they've gone through and kind of changed some of these assignments, so check my headings. But you want a heading for each of the criteria of the assignment, right? So you're going to have at least 6 headings. And if you put an introduction in there and conclusion, you don't have to do that, but if you want to, you can. So your proposed solution, you've gone through and you've found your PICO question, identified that, you are starting to go through your literature search and collecting a bunch of peer-reviewed journal scholarly articles on research on your topic, okay? So the first one, describe the proposed solution. This is your intervention. So it tells you some details about that. You're going to heavily reference all of this. Even if you worked in the ER for 20 years, even if I wrote a paper about ER triage, I heavily cite it because I'm not considered a content expert. No matter how many years you've been in there, until you're heavily published, maybe you're a tenured professor at a university and you research on this subject, then you're a content expert. So even though you state a fact, like a fact is, don't ever say the ER is quiet. That's an that's an unwritten rule. It's a very known rule. You would have to reference that, right? So every fact that you write down has to be cited. And remember, don't use direct quotes. I don't want you to just copy down what they're saying in the literature. I want to see how you analyze the information and spit it back out in your own words. So it's still their information from their study, but you're paraphrasing it and then citing it. And so your similarity index on your papers should only be 20% or less. If it's, after it does your lopes right, you can go on there and see your similarity index and see what it's picking up. It may just be picking up references, and that's fine. But if it's picking up too many of your statements, even though you've paraphrased, then you need to paraphrase better, okay? So, let's see. The next is organizational culture. So this speaks to what kind of culture it is. Are they going to be open to this change? Are they going to be resistant? What challenges do you expect? Who are kind of your champions that you can tap into? They're going to help push this forward and support it for you. That's what we're talking about there. Stakeholders. I believe we've already had this section in section A, but here you're going to carry it through a little bit more and say not only who are the stakeholders, but how are they impacted by this potential change, this project that you're doing. Is there going to be more work for them? Are they going to have to go through some training? Are they going to embrace it? They've been talking about this, they want it, or there's a bunch of naysayers and you're going to have to do some convincing here, some bribing. Expected outcomes. So these I'd like to be organized as bullet points. Expected outcomes are your goals based on the outcomes of the project, okay? So need to be pretty specific and list them out in bullet points, and they should flow from your PICO question. Don't go wild on me, grab something from left field like this should help with climate change also. Don't do that. Stick with the subject. And then your method to achieve your outcomes. So it says develop an outline. You can narrate this. It is easier to grade, easier to organize your thoughts if you just do it in an outline form for this section. So you do your header and then a little outline of how the outcomes are to be achieved. What all things are you putting into line to do this? So let me see. If you're going to measure how a certain diet changes BMI in diabetic patients, you're going to list how you're going to achieve these outcomes. Well, you're not only going to say, hey, do this diet, you're going to train the trainer, train the sample that you're giving. You're going to need to train your people who are going to be collecting your data. They also need to be doing it in a uniform way. If your tool is not validated, you need to say that you're going to validate that. And I've talked to a few of you guys about validating tools. If you go in and there's already a survey, like on, let's say, a pain or depression survey, and it's already been validated in that study that you're using, or you can look back and find where it's been validated. Validated means that they've tested it with a group of people, and it shows that the questions are really asking what they want to ask. The questions are easy to read. About third grade level is what we aim for. The words are not too, terribly difficult, or there's not some hidden meaning in there. That's what I mean by validated. So if you already have and can prove that that tool has been validated, that's fine. You just need to bring that into your final project, and you can put it here. But there's actually a section in either D or E that talks about validation of any tools, any use of tools and questionnaires. So if you change a validated tool in any way, let's say you don't like that question, it doesn't meet quite right, you want to add a question or reword a question, then all you do is you take this and you then give it to 10 people, 10 of your peers, or 10 like-minded people who would be in your sample group, but that are not going to be in the ultimate study. You can't include them in the ultimate study if you've already showed them the questionnaire. But have them go through it and give you some feedback on it. Have them answer the questions and see if you're really getting what you want. That's how you validate a tool. Okay, outcome impact. So what all is this intervention that you're doing and the outcomes that you're aiming at? How will they impact quality care improvement? This says patient-centered quality care, the efficacy of processes, meaning the efficiency of processes, and our processes actually achieving what we want. When I think of efficacy, I think of the efficacy of a medication. So if I was to order a medication, Prilosec, for esophageal reflux, I would read over the efficacy of this. Does it work? How many people did it work for? Things like that. How many bad things did it cause versus good things? So you want to weigh a little bit in these your risk benefit situation as well. That could add another paragraph for you, or another few words if you're trying to reach word count. Sorry, the dogs are playing with toys. So an abstract's not required for any of these individual papers. It is for the final paper. And guys, stop. And if you notice, what we're doing is building your final project. So you don't have to wait until the last week and go, oh dang, I gotta write a really big project up. You're building it as you go. So each week you write something up, I give you feedback, you make the revisions, you hang on to it, and you start building your final paper. Your final paper is gonna look like this: a cover sheet, your abstract, the body of your paper with all these citations in it. If you refer to something in an appendix or a table or graph, you have to say, see Appendix A, see Appendix B. And I prefer that if you use an appendix that you're actually referring to it somewhere. So then you do your reference list, and after your reference list, then you have Appendix A, B, C, D. And I haven't looked at what they did to the final project as far as appendix, but in our old project we had the literature review table. You'll put your PICO template in there, any consents. Every one of your studies where you have people that are participating in it, you need a consent, an informed consent. So you can get these generically off the internet and you customize them to your study. That'll need to be an appendix. For every project study that you do in your facility, you need an IRB, Institutional Review Board. Most hospitals have an IRB. They usually meet about once a month or once a quarter, and they have a form that you fill out to get approval from the IRB. This is the group of people that looks at your research and says, this is ethical, there's nothing dangerous here, and they almost always give you very important feedback. Usually the people that are on these committees are physicians. They will get academics from the local colleges, research experts, and they really are very helpful. But in order to do a project, an evidence-based project, which in a sense you're doing research at your place of work, your county, whatever, you have to have an IRB. So I want your IRB form in there as an appendix filled out. If you are doing something for public county health, they will have an IRB committee, or they'll write off of a local hospital, and they can tell you where they would do one. You can get an IRB form off the internet. It's not hooked to any committee. It's kind of helpful to know who your committees are around there if you ever do actually need to do the project, who you would hook up with. So those are all appendix. What else is in your appendix? Any tools, surveys that you have, questionnaires, you're going to put those in there. Any data collection forms. You'll do a change paper coming up. I don't know if that's C or I don't know if that's D or E, but a change paper where you'll actually make a change model, a visual, where you take one of the change theories, you customize it to your project, so that graphic is going to be in there as well. So all of those appendix that you'll need are listed with the final project. They also say at the end of each project, save this. This will be an appendix for the final project. All right. So you guys are doing great. You're moving right along. It's week 4. You're halfway there. You turn in the final paper usually week 7, unless they've changed it on me. I'm sorry. I'm riding on the seat of my pants here, trying to figure out what all they changed. So, and I started muscle relaxers this week. So if anybody's called me this week and they go, boy, Gail doesn't know what she's doing. It's because my tongue and my mouth and my brain, it's relaxed the muscles between there. My neck was hurting and everything was out, and they gave me some muscle relaxers, and I didn't know that it was going to affect my whole brain, but it has. I talked to some gentleman last night and I said, I'm sorry, I don't even understand what you're saying. So things are clear today. This is spot on. These are the directions. Go with them. And as always, if you guys have any questions, please call me. Try to have fun with this. Be passionate and take care, everybody. God bless.